Does anyone have a chainsaw? Because what? Duh.
Whether you wanted it or not, Riverdale's second musical episode has arrived, and yes, Cole Sprouse sings. So let's break down Season 3, Episode 16 and find out just what happened. What's up, Riverdale family? Lisa here, and the time has come. Riverdale's second musical episode has arrived, and this time they're taking on Heathers. So they're kind of starting to run out of murderous high school musicals to take on with the show, I think. So what are they going to do if they do another musical episode? Anyway, this episode, I feel like people either love it or hate it when it comes to the musical aspect. I went on Twitter, maybe I shouldn't have gone on Twitter, but I definitely saw some mixed reviews when it came to the cast, singing and whatnot. But I'll kind of stay away from that. I don't know if I want to give my opinion so much on that. But either way, you can tell that a lot of work did go into this episode, and somehow they were finally able to convince Cole Sprouse to sing. And it wasn't just one line like he did in his Disney Channel Circle of Stars days, but he practically sang a whole half of a number, which I'm actually impressed that he committed to that.
Can we be 17? Is that so hard to do?
Yeah, but the songs and the themes of Heathers definitely fit into this awful town of Riverdale, and by the end, it seems like maybe the parents finally realized what their kids are going through, and we finally also get the arrival of Edgar Evernever, played by Chad Michael Murray. So let's just dive in. So to kick off the episode, Hermione basically thinks that Heathers is not appropriate for the school to do, which, I mean, she's not wrong about. They tried to do that Heathers TV show reboot on, Spike TV or whatever, and yeah, that didn't go so well. But anyway, Kevin is trying to prove to her why they should be doing this musical, and thus begins our singing, and Hermione is just kind of like, damn, y'all really this miserable? It's kind of like, seriously, lady, are you blind? Because you definitely seem miserable, and if you're miserable, your kids are probably miserable because you might be the root of that, them being miserable. Is there a word for that? Anyway, it all works out. They get to put on this Heathers musical, which is being produced by the farm, and Kevin even appoints Evelyn as his co-director. And with the way she's leading her weird morning warm-up sermon things, Betty pretty much is set on the idea that Evelyn is using this musical as a way to recruit for the farm, and she's determined to prove it. I mean, she even confronts Evelyn about it. And Evelyn's like, well, time to prove you wrong, or shove it in your face and do it right in front of you. So she decides to throw a huge cast party at the farm headquarters. And nothing says big fun like some Jell-O shots. We then see Evelyn give Kevin a special farm brownie with some interesting mushrooms in it. And when he goes into the hallway, you can tell he's starting to trip because he's already been worried about this musical since, what happened last year with Midge being murdered. And because of this brownie, he's now hallucinating Midge on the wall with a message that says Kevin killed her. Then at the rehearsal the next day, Evelyn decides to lead one of her exercises, which is having everyone spill a secret they've never said out loud, no matter how big or small. And this is not going to go well. Some bombs are gonna be dropped. But in this case, Kevin fesses up to having hallucinations about Midge, and what do you know, Fang says he also has nightmares about Midge.
How beautiful. Through revealing their truth, these two young men have found an unexpected connection. Perhaps more.
And here it's kind of like, Evelyn, what are you up to? Because I've shipped Fangs and Kevin for a while, but I am not sure if this is the way I wanted them to get together. Not like this. But while observing everything, Betty grows more suspicious and asks to borrow Jughead's camera to spy on some private rehearsal she heard Evelyn set up, and she finds Fangs and Kevin in the middle of some creepy kind of love wedding ceremony. I don't know what it is. It's all kinds of creepy though. Betty seems to have her proof now, but there is another problem. She shows it to Principal Weatherby, but he is now on the farm's side and may even be part of the farm now that he has read Edgar's doctrine and likes it. So now Betty's kind of like, well, what's the next move? Well, Betty better think fast, because after the final number of the musical, the first person to start that awkward slow clap and stand up is some hot guy in a white shirt. And that's when Evelyn is like, I knew Daddy would be proud, or something like that. And slowly more people stand up to join in the rhythm of his clap, and they all are also wearing white, including Principal Weatherby. So basically half of this auditorium, if not more, are now farm people. But yeah, we pretty much have it confirmed that this farm is brainwashing everybody, and the devil may work hard, but Evelyn is working even harder to play on people's insecurities and troubles and gain their trust and lead them to the farm. I guess that makes her a good cult recruiter, right? One of her targets even ends up being Cheryl. So speaking of Cheryl, she's still upset about her and Tony's breakup, and she thinks this musical is gonna be her therapy, her way of dealing with it. But when Kevin brings Tony on as a choreographer, well, it's like war breaks out.
It's my candy store. It's my candy. It's my candy store. It's my candy store.
At the cast party, Evelyn tells Cheryl it's time to let everything go. And the next day at school, Evelyn tells Cheryl she should go into the hallway and see what's happening. And Evelyn has this smirk on her face like she knows just what's about to happen, and something might lead Cheryl to her. So yeah, when Cheryl goes into the hall, she sees Tony wearing an all red outfit. And everyone knows that no one is allowed to wear all red except for Cheryl. So they fight, and Cheryl basically says Tony has until Monday morning to leave, which pisses off Tony, but she decides why not have some fun in her remaining time, and almost has a threesome with Peaches and Cream, or whatever her name is, and Sweet Pea right in the middle of the auditorium, until Tony kind of sees a vision of Cheryl singing some sense into her. So Tony decides to go see Cheryl to extend an olive branch. They get to the root of some of the problems, as Tony asks Cheryl what love was like in Cheryl's family, and you already know that was a pretty messed up, warped ideal of love. And Tony reassures Cheryl that she's not going anywhere, and that maybe it's not too late for them, and we learn it isn't, as by the end of the episode they're back together smooching. So Shoney shippers, you should be happy. This couple had that bump in the road, but they're back together. Another couple that ends up smooching by the end of the episode after having a rough patch are Archie and Josie. You see, Archie wants more with Josie, but she's kind of hesitant, and they're kind of keeping their love affair a secret. Now, the fact that she's cast opposite Sweet Pea as love interest in this musical also doesn't help, especially when Sweet Pea sees Archie and Josie canoodling at the cast party. Then, at this whole secret revealing party at rehearsal, Sweet Pea confesses to him and Josie's fling in the summer and how he's sad seeing Archie and Josie together. Now, it seems like pretty much no one knew Archie and Josie were even together, so that's a big bombshell to everybody, and it causes Josie to pull back even more, while Archie really just wants to go ahead and make it official. Josie thinks that they only really got together because of circumstance and both of them being lonely. But later, in a lovely boxing ring musical number, Archie says he wants to figure things out and fight for them. And it seems like it wins Josie over because they're also smooching by the end of this episode. Now, the couple that starts smooching again in this episode, but unfortunately does not end up with the happy ending, are Veronica and Reggie. Now, Veronica comes home before the cast party to find Hiram and Hermione waiting for her, and they tell her some big news. They're separating, and that Hiram will be living at the 5 Seasons, and Hiram tells Veronica to ask Hermione what happened. Well, Hermione tells Veronica that Hiram found out she tried to sell the drugs out from under him, and he was not happy. Now, this whole situation drives Veronica back into the arms of Reggie after the cast party, and he actually thinks they could be endgame, and it seems like Veronica now wants to be all in with him too. Then everything explodes at Evelyn's little secret spilling rehearsal as Veronica spills that her parents are separating. So Reggie thinks that Veronica being back with him at first has to do with Archie being with Josie, but then he realizes it was because of the drama with her parents. So Reggie ends up breaking things off with Veronica, saying they shouldn't really be doing this right now. So then Veronica goes to have breakfast with Hiram and tries to tell him to come back home because they're family, they always work it out. Hiram tells her the real reason he split with Hermione. He found out she tried to have him killed twice, and he thinks part of Veronica knew, so trust has been broken.
Family's trust. You and your mother betrayed me, so there is no family anymore.
Ouch. So yeah, now that Hiram is like, bye, you're not my family, Hermione and Veronica are really going to have to protect themselves. But Hiram and Hermione do put on a brave face, or whatever you want to call it, for Veronica to do her one last solid of a family time by sitting together at the musical. Finally, for Jughead, he has a plan to find Gladys's new drug lab and shut it down before Gladys can really get started again with the Fizzle Rocks business and get it booming. He goes to see FP, and FP informs Jughead that there have been a string of pharmacy break-ins and someone also stole their old trailer, so Jughead's putting two and two together and is like, dude, someone stole our old trailer to make it a drug lab. So Jughead decides to take things into his own hands and sends the serpents out to find the trailer. They end up finding that trailer, and Jughead and Betty go to see it, and yes, it's been turned into a Breaking Bad lab, basically. And Jughead is in shambles that his mother would destroy his childhood home like that. And this is when we get Cole and Lily as Betty and Jughead singing part of the song 17, which Kevin describes as the emotional climax. And Cheryl and Tony sing the other half as they are reconciling.
And you're right, that really blows.
But we let go,
Take a deep breath.
then go buy some summer clothes.
So now Jughead wants to steal the trailer back, but Betty tells him maybe he should let it go. And let it go he does, but not really until he has another little push in that direction. You see, FP comes home, and it is still super weird to see the Joneses living in the old Cooper house. But FP returns home with blood and scratches on his face and reveals that a tweaked out Fizzle Rocks junkie was playing G&G in the middle of the road. So now FP is really determined to find out who was cooking up that stuff again. Little does he know he is sleeping with the enemy, and Gladys tries to act all concerned, but Jughead sees right through it and sees she really doesn't care for FP's life or safety, it seems like. So he and Betty decide to go have a little fun, and they burn that trailer lab to the ground. And they also show up late to the musical covered in grime. But they're not late because they burned the trailer down. They're more late because after they started to burn the trailer down, it acted as a little of a turn on for them. And they had a quickie before Jughead's forced to be in that final musical number, where it seemed like he was really feeling the swaying of the musical number.
Let's go be 17. Take off our shoes and
But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the main events of this week's episode. So the farm officially taking over a lot of Riverdale. They now even have control of the school with Principal Weatherby under their spell. So what is their ultimate goal? Why is Edgar now finally showing his face? I mean, they're determined to recruit everybody, and Betty's determined to stop them. Jughead's also at war with his mom, and things are getting pretty intense. And now it seems like there might also be war between Hiram and Hermione again. I'm just glad we finally got this whole Edgar thing. We finally got him to come out and play, because it was starting to get pretty drawn out, and if it didn't happen soon, I was gonna be like, seriously, we just have to keep watching Evelyn? She keeps giving me the creeps. But I want to know another thing. Why weren't Alice and Fred in the audience watching their kids perform in the musical? It seemed like everybody else in the farm was there. I actually didn't want to see Fred in the audience just for the fact because it would make me cry because of Luke Perry. But also, you would think Fred was the most supportive parent ever. He would have totally been there front row to see his kid perform. Now, as far as the musical aspect of the show goes, I am really glad that Casey Cott finally got a chance to kind of showcase himself and shine, because he's the one with the theater background, the musical experience. His brother is on Broadway and all of that kind of stuff. He really didn't get that chance in the show's first musical episode, which I was actually surprised by. But ultimately, I do think this episode was kind of big fun, like it was titled. It kind of moved the storylines along pretty well. But I have a feeling we're going to be back to intense stuff in the next episode, so let's look at that promo.
This is Cheryl Blossom.
Mr. Evernever is a yummy snack.
There are people with grudges.
They want me dead.
How dangerous is you sneaking into the farm gonna be?
We're gonna get rid of the gargoyles.
Don't cross me again.
Hey, Jughead, I'm ready to ascend.
Yeah, definitely not okay with Evelyn trying to recruit Cheryl. Do we think maybe Cheryl and Betty, the cousins, can team up now after they get some inside information to take down Evelyn and Edgar on the farm? But I don't know, because Edgar's definitely using his good looks and charm to be that good old cult leader, because that's what you hear about when you study cults, right? And serial killers, how charming most of them were. And yeah, it looks like Mad Dog is still alive, which I'm actually glad about, but yeah, also what concerns me in this trailer is Gladys kind of threatening Jughead, and then seeing Jughead get pushed out of a window. How many times does this guy almost have to like get near death? I'm not liking that so much. But that pretty much wraps up this week's Riverdale recap, you guys. So hit me up in the comments below and let me know all your thoughts on this week's episode. Do you like these musical episodes? Should they keep doing it? Are you a fan of the cast singing or not so much? Will Betty, do you think she's going to be able to stop the farm? How will Hiram maybe now try to kill Hermione? I don't know. There's so many things that we could go forward with. So let me know all your thoughts and theories, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check out more of my recent interviews and recaps and such right over here. As always, my name is Lisa. Thanks for hanging out with me. See you again next week.